Hi, my name is Cliff, and welcome to Conversations and Plugs.
Hi, my name is Wago, and let's go on this journey.
Yeah, and welcome to where business stories come to life. I'd like to introduce today's guest, who I think from the research that we've done and having interacted with him, I would say he's a creative geek.
Yeah.
Everyone knows him, has known him as a music producer, and lately has put together a fantastic brand called JokaJok. He's an entrepreneur. Ted Josiah, welcome to Conversations and Plugs.
Asante sana.
Karibu.
Welcome.
Hey,
You.
It's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. So, because I think one of the things I think Wago and I and a lot of some of the people we've interviewed and even just talking to entrepreneurs, purpose comes up a little bit. Do you have a purpose, Ted? And what's your purpose generally when it comes to business life? Yeah.
I think I was born to create. I know I was born to create.
Yeah.
My purpose is to make stuff. That's why I call myself a creative geek because in all my life, all I've ever been good at is making things come alive, whether it be a piece of art, sculpture, painting, music, video, film, animation, now bags. I just know how to make stuff. And my purpose has been to touch lives through the stuff I make. And also the fact that I was in the music industry making music and helping artists get their foot in the door and be heard and then become something. That for me is a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think, I mean, sometimes even for guys in day jobs or just generally in life, one of the things I've also found is regardless of whether you're creating tangible stuff like music or art, we are at our best when we're creating. I mean, that's what we were called to do.
Yeah.
And I feel that's a pretty cool thing. So in terms of creations, what have you created, Ted? I'm sure it's a lot.
What have I created?
Yeah.
I've created music, a lot of music. If I were to go through the discography, we'd be here for like about
Discography. Yeah, that's true.
3 hours.
And
Yeah.
revolutionary music.
Yes.
Yes, I've created
Life-changing.
change within the
Yes.
music industry.
Change. Okay.
Yeah.
I became known as the music producer back in the early 90s when I started my career, actually in 1989, not 90s. And I produced my first big piece of music in 1996, but it was launched in 97. This was through an artist called Heartstone Ohiki.
Gunjiri.
Yes.
Heartstone
Gunjiri.
Gunjiri.
And what happened was with that piece of music, one, we got signed on to Kelele Records, which was a German record label. It was one of the very first albums pressed on CD in Kenya. People don't know that.
Wow.
And it was a big deal. You know, it was like being, to put it in today's terms, it would be like being the first Kenyan artist to be on Spotify or iTunes or what. So we broke ground with that. I produced Shades of Black, which went to
Shades of Black.
Yes, went to number 4 on the Spanish charts. Serengeti Groove. I produced
Serengeti Groove.
Yes.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, how old
Yeah.
am I?
Yeah.
I produced Kaka Tafsiri, which
Yeah.
revolutionized
Tafsiri,
hip hop in Kenya.
yeah.
I produced Gidi Gidi Majimaji.
Giddy Giddy. Everyone knows
Yes.
Giddy. Yeah.
Unbogable,
Yes.
which did
Yeah.
what it did politically. I produced Kenyan Boy, Kenyan Girl, Necessary Noise, their whole album. I produced Kisumu 100, Susanna Owio. I produced Unasi, which was an Afrofusion band, and they then broke into the European circuit. They've done a lot of tours, won RFI, won BBC awards. I produced the late Achieng Abura, who won I think it was the South African Music Awards, or was it the Gallo Music Awards? And it's a lot of artists that I've worked with. But as a creative geek, you get bored. So you say, okay, I've done this, and wow, what next?
Yeah.
What else can I do? And I think I was one of those kids in school. Actually, I know who my attention span, I couldn't concentrate because my mind is ticking on so many things at the same time. So I delved into film. And I just one day picked up a camera, asked a couple of questions. Where's the record button? I'll figure the rest out. And then I went into video editing. I was one of two people who adapted a laptop as a video editing system for broadcast, to a point where KTN was so shocked that they started now changing their. In the day, they were using Betacam tapes and all of those big tapes and massive computers and Avid. And
Oh yeah,
all of
that's so
that.
true. Like
Yeah.
you had to drop the tapes to the studio.
Exactly. I then delved into using a laptop, and Final Cut was version 2 at the time. Nowadays, people, you can just quickly chop, edit, throw the card, or even just throw it via USB-C. And I think to myself, if only they knew where the journey began from a technical perspective.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always that journey of, why are you telling me that this thing is impossible to do? There must be a way to do it. And that journey of creating stuff with the unknown and charting territories that are unknown, for me, is joyous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just now earlier, before we started, I asked you what is your mantra that gets you going, and you said, what did you say?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yes.
And that sounds like what you've been doing for a while in your creative journey.
Yes.
I'm very intrigued to know what caused the pivot into your brand right now, and you building your own brand instead of building other people's brands. What caused that pivot?
I back in 2007, I left Kenya and I thought it was for good. I moved to Europe, went into working for an advertising agency, but the back end of it, I was doing animation, film, studio production. And I got to a point where I was working with the likes of Adidas, Puma, Nike, and the mayor of London, and doing all these big things. And then I had all this knowledge, and I didn't feel like I was making value for money.
Yeah.
So somebody one day told me, no, what you need to do is go west. And at that time, Nigeria was still very closed. So I went into Nigeria, started setting up TV stations with a company I was working with. So I was doing a circuit of London, Cape Town, Lagos, living out of a suitcase till about 2015. And one day I got to a point where I was like, I can't live out of a suitcase anymore. The only highlight is fish fingers and fries. Or, please, hello, can you change my room so I feel like I moved to a different hotel?
Yeah.
Or go to the safe, and it might sound like hype, but go to the safe, open it up, and count your dollars, and then put them back and say, okay, at least I know what I'm doing. At least I know I'm here. I just
Have
said,
something
no,
to show for it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't do this. I can't do this. So I came back home trying to figure out what is the next phase of life. At that time, I've already hit 40. And you don't want to be confused in your 40s. I'm confused in my 40s, thoroughly confused. And then I settled down, met this young lady who inspired me to want to be better, and inspired me to sort of see the connect between music and fashion. And we started this relationship and started creating a brand that we thought was really, really, really hot, SWAR&B Records.
SWAR&B.
Yes, SWAR&B.
Yes.
That will come important later on in the conversation. Now, SWAR&B, SWAR&B became a brand. And I launched an artist called Edie Singer, and I launched another artist called Masauti, who did a song called Mahabuba. And they did pretty well.
Yeah.
But in the fashion of artists, as soon as they smell a little bit of success, they bolt and think, okay, I've made it, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I was left with egg on my face because I had launched an artist's career and guaranteed a promoter a 1-year contract with this artist to take them round Europe on tour, earning $1,200 a week. His life would have changed instantly. His life would, and none of that money was going to be for him to spend. It was just saving. All expenses met. And the artist bolted. And I was left with a contract that now I couldn't fulfill. I thought to myself, music is leaving a very bad taste in my mouth. So let me take a step back. At the time, my then wife was expectant, and she had to go to bed rest. So the fashion side of it took a bit of a nosedive. And I did some odd jobs here and there, training people how to hold camera, how to edit, how to do video, blah, 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 until she delivered our baby, JJ. Now, when JJ came, I thought to myself, all right, dude, you really need to figure this one out.
Yes.
You really need to figure this one out. Because Jay's mom wanted to then branch into fashion full time, which meant that I would have to invest. And she asked me to design the logo. I designed the logo, RK, Regina Qatar, and she posts it on Instagram and says, "Business lady in the making, working mom, here we go." And I try and push it with my socials and stuff. And 3 days later, she passes.
No.
What made me start this journey was that journey. Because the first thing that happened after I got hit by the shock of, okay, this girl's gone and she's gone abruptly. I mean, we were having dinner and 6 hours later, she was dead. I sat with my daughter in my car at the hospital parking lot, waiting for people to come because I had been alone when this happened. And I just looked down at Jay and said, don't worry, we'll figure it out. We'll figure this out. So that was the journey, the beginning of the journey. And Jay and I then had to go through this very painful journey of, you don't have titties. I need milk. How are we going to figure this out, dude? Your belly's nice and cushy, so I can sleep there, but that's about it. You're not bringing anything.
I'm not getting any benefit here.
Yeah.
So I had to go through the journey of trying to figure out what formula this child is going to have, and not all formulas fit the same size.
Yes.
Different formulas fit for different children, and different formulas cause different reactions. So constipation, here we go.
Gus.
Sleepless nights, runny tummy, here we go. Eczema, here we go. And the list goes on and on and on. And thankfully, God gave me a child that was very understanding of my stupidity. Very understanding. Because she would wake up every morning with a smile on her face. And that smile would inspire me to just think, you know what? Yeah, it's a very painful journey, but something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. One of the last conversations I had had with the late Regina was about bags. We had gone to a local market and she bought a bag made out of sisal. And she said, it would be very interesting if we could find where leather is found from and actually mix these two together and make a bag. So that kept on ringing in my head as one of the last conversations we had. Apart from the very last conversation, which was, this child cannot grow up poor. And I thought, okay, no pressure, single
Single
idiot.
dad. Single idiot.
Single idiot. Because the child looked like she knew what she was doing. I'm the one who was confused. And then I had a bag that my granddad had given my mom back in 1970. And it was still in pristine condition. And one day I decided, okay, I'm going to do a travel show because I need to get out of this funk that I'm in. And the travel show then will just show my journey and I have these conversations. And it's a really good idea. And you know how everybody thinks their idea is
The best
so
idea.
Brilliant.
crazy?
Yeah. Crazy.
So
or
I
bri-
thought it was a really brilliant idea
Yeah.
until I came to the guys who sell Land Rover down the road here
Mhm.
and said, okay, so I've got this great idea. I want you guys to give me a car. I'm going to take it out to the Boondoos and test drive it and do this travel show. And they looked at me like, bro,
No, that's not how things work.
It's like wrong country.
yeah.
you're smoking
Wrong
something.
country, bro.
Yeah. So that didn't work out well. But through that journey, I had started a conversation of we need a bag for the travel show.
Mm.
So I had been designing a bag, and I finished designing the bag with one fundi. And then one evening, he brought the bag to a restaurant. Didn't have an office, so he says, "Here's the bag," and I say, "Yeah, that's great." Then he says, "One slight problem. You don't have a logo."
Huh.
And I was like, "Oh wow!" And my assistant at the time says, "Actually, yeah, hauna logo buda. Tutaita hii kitu nini?" So I blurted out the words JokaJok.
Yeah.
Mm.
I literally just blurted out the words JokaJok. And my mate then goes like,
Is that a Luo superhero?
"What?"
Yeah, it sounds like a
Where-
little
and then he
superhero,
asked
yeah.
me, "So where did that come from?" Because he had been with me the whole day.
Yeah.
I said, let's go back to the office right now because I need to sit on the laptop. I had seen these things in my head. So the logo as you see it today is the logo that I had seen in my head. And I don't know why, where, how. I can't explain that. But JokaJok is Joa Joa, K.A. Qatar, my late wife, Joa Joa, my daughter, Kenya. That's what it stands for.
JokaJok.
So a lot of people think that it is the Jaluo side of me trying
Yes.
to be very flamboyant, which is not.
Does it mean anything in Luo?
It does. My maternal grandmother, who raised me for part of my life, was actually JokaJok original, and she had given me the journey of how the Luo migration came from Misri all the way down. Unfortunately, she passed, and so I am part JokaJok, but that's not the reason for the bags. It's just serendipity that
Yes.
all of this
I like
came together.
serendipity. Yeah. When you're talking about serendipity, in there lies, I think, something we like to call luck.
Yes.
How much has that played in your journey?
There's no such thing as luck.
There's no such thing as luck. I love that.
There's no such thing as luck.
Oh, yeah.
If you do the time, doors open. There's no such thing as you are not lucky or unlucky. That is
You create it.
you create the life you want. Sorry, I might demystify a lot of the.
No, I love it. I mean,
the
absolutely.
catchphrases that people use,
Yeah.
but in all honesty, I'm 53 now, going 54. Looking back at my life, I was never lucky. I didn't know how to make music. I figured out how to make music.
Wait. I just thought you learned
Yeah.
learned on the fly.
There was no YouTube,
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
and I came from a family where my mom is a computer scientist. She was the first computer scientist in Kenya, working for Kenya Railways that had one of the only computers at the time.
And Kenya Railways was pretty progressive
It was
at that time.
huge.
Yeah.
After that, she moved to Rank Xerox, which was the second company that had those things. And then my dad is a chiropractor. When I say chiropractor, I better explain. He's a doctor that works with your bones.
Yes.
Non-invasive healing, so to speak. And he's been that since the 70s. Now, those two are scientists, and they're thinking, bro,
Muziki.
how
Whose child is this?
did you? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, my mom asked that a lot. Whose child is this?
Tell me, Mom. Yes.
But figuring out how to make music at that age, I was still in high school. We had a piano at home. It had been bought for my sister, who was, educated quite proper. So she was in Loreto and everything. Minim twice silly. Let me explain.
Yes.
So I was not educated proper. I prefer to speak in Sheng.
Wow.
So she had been bought a piano because she was doing her piano classes, and my other sister. And one day, a friend of mine comes visiting and says, "Shame on you! You have a piano at home and you can't play." And I sort of kind of liked this girl, so I took that as a challenge, and I started pressing the keys on the piano, literally, to figure out how to make sound out of this thing. So I was self-taught, and even the journey of trying to figure out how to sequence music using a computer, I self-taught myself. There were no tutorials. It was just figure it out and to make it just happen. Tinker. And yeah, I used to get in trouble a lot for tinkering. My dad would leave the house. I would play his records and try and figure out how the TV works, the back end, blow up the TV, blame the lightning. Yeah. So that's been my journey. I like to explore and experiment. And when you tell me it can't be done, even in the leather industry, when I was looking for leather, it's like this secret of nobody wants to tell you where leather is.
Actually, where do you find leather?
Leather is available all across Kenya, literally almost every county, including Masai Mara. There's been initiatives by government to support the leather industry for a long time. And people have just been thinking, well, let those Masais just make belts and, those the ones who sell the stuff on the streets, not knowing that there's a huge industry. We export tons of something that we call wet blue, which is leather in its very raw form when it's just been cleaned out, the chemical applied, and then you can go and put your colors and everything. So we do the donkey work here in Kenya.
Yeah.
Export 90%.
Paid less for it because we've not done any value addition.
They pay way less and they leave us with all the toxins here, Yet, if we had a value add chain that built more and exported less of the raw materials, we'd be able to trade better. Yeah. So for me, when I found leather, I was like, okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
How do you make a bag? I don't know, but I'm a designer. I've done package design, thankfully. And package design is very close to a bag. For instance, that package over there, the brown bag, looks like a tote bag. If I just took that and converted it into leather, you'd say, "Oh wow, nice! How much is this?"
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, "Okay, 21,000." Not that I thumbsuck my prices. Sorry, that sounded wrong, didn't it?
It's
No,
okay.
sounded just right.
This is your truth. Yes.
Yeah, but it's the journey of self-discovery is, I think, the reason why we are put on this planet.
Yeah.
You come from the ground, you rely on the ground, and you go back to the ground after you have finished discovering yourself, your purpose, and your journey. And you hopefully leave the world a better place before you go back down to the ground.
I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm thinking of legacy. And I always believe that legacy isn't what you leave for people, it's what you leave in people. And so we have the logo. Your late wife is part of the logo. Are there any other parts of the business that you can see your wife just being present, has her legacy carried on through the business? And what's your legacy? What do you want your legacy to look like?
Part of JokaJok's mantra is love and legacy. We do stuff out of love and hope that we leave a positive legacy. I tell people, it's not about me. It's about a 200+ year journey. Sometimes I give my employees this, and I've had this conversation. I say, Moses was chosen by God to take his children out of captivity into the promised land. That's a big purpose. And if I were Moses, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. And then God gave him this rod and he could part waters and everything. Moses was immortal, man. I
Yeah.
am immortal. and, sorry, I had to slide that in. And then Moses did all these things, like the 10 Commandments, went up the mountain, came back with these tablets. He must have had 6-packs, and bro, imagine all those heavy tablets. But he never saw the promised land.
No.
Imagine that. How sad is that? I mean, when you think about it, in Hollywood romanticized,
Yeah.
he died in the desert, living his purpose. So his purpose was not to make sure they are at the promised land. His purpose was to begin that journey. And as the founder of the brand, I'm just part of the journey. I hope other people will continue that journey. Where it goes, only God knows,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
I mean, and I know talking to you even earlier or just watching you as well, you have a passion for African brands. And that's a big thing.
I am African.
You are African.
I don't have a passion for Italian brands.
Yeah.
I am African.
And the stories behind that, isn't it, in terms of why you're so passionate about building African for Africans and why we should embrace that as well.
And just to add the black market.
And black market.
The black market.
Black market.
Yes.
I love that word, despite the fact that all my social media went crazy and decided this guy is trying to sell contraband. Just stop
for
these
real?
videos, stop these videos. So they got all of like 200 views. I think also the hashtags that they use to make sure that you don't sell contraband should be a bit more open to Africa. Because when you say words like
Black
African
luxury.
the system sort of goes like,
There's nothing like that.
there's nothing
Nil and
luxurious in
void.
Africa.
Oh my
People-
God. Oh,
so black market for me is I tried to Google this, the number of Africans on the planet. There should be a number because they're there.
Yeah.
And every country does a census and they ask you, are you black? Oh, sorry. Not a racist remark. I'm just ticking the boxes. Yes. 5 black people living in this house. So we know numbers of black people across the globe, but Google doesn't. Wow. So doing the whole calculation is roughly 2 billion.
That's more than China.
It's more than China.
Yeah.
If you have 1% of 2 billion, a mathematician, please help me. What is
Clifford, I defer to
1%?
you.
Well, don't look
Of
at
2
me. The
billion.
guys with phones are out there. 1% of 2 billion. 2 million?
Let us
Zero,
assume.
whatever it is.
Yeah, let's assume that 1% of 2 billion is 2 million.
Yeah.
That means you have 2 million
Customers.
billionaires, millionaires, movers and shakers globally who are black. If all of them decide that they're going to shop with Kiamaiko shoes,
What happens to
Kemaiko is a
Kemaiko?
billionaire and
Yeah.
you
Kemaiko
just
shoes
created a
becomes-
global brand.
Yes.
billion, and they just have to buy one pair. That's a billionaire instantly. Boom.
Yeah.
Right there. That is why the black market is being kept under wraps and made sure that it is as fragmented as possible so that it does not unite. Because if it unites, then what happens is the black market creates very, very super wealthy people who now can't be shaked by financial institutions because they are the financial institutions, they are the systems, they are the reason why the world goes round. And the world doesn't want to go round on the back of black people, despite the fact that the world wants to go round on the back of
black
black
people.
people. You know,
Yeah.
what an oxymoron. Wow. Yeah, take us. Let's go pick up your cotton, but don't wear the fancy stuff, please.
Yeah.
And don't sell yourself the fancy stuff.
And God forbid if an African brand is pretty cool.
God forbid. So we had this video that went viral by a gentleman called Raw. And Raw is an American, white American. He saw the brand on TikTok, loved it, paid for it. We sent it to him and he did a non-solicited video for us. And when he did this video, things just shot up. And a lot of black people, despite the fact that Rose is white, he speaks on the
I think I've
ills.
seen that guy.
Yes, the ills that are befalling the African all over the world, and the fact that the African is not seeing that they're being scammed, they're being gamed. So when he
And it's
picked up,
systemic.
Yeah.
it is from every single facet of life. It's better for you to be a non-starter as black than successful. And if you're successful, there's somebody pulling the string somewhere that wants to press the stop button when you go out of hand.
In the name of policy, in the name of structure, in the name of trade barriers. Yeah.
Yeah, but even when you're talking about the systemic things, and I think you guys can, I think this is a conversation we keep having around how I know we can keep complaining about systems and structures and stuff like that. However, it doesn't negate the fact that a lot of global supply chain, and especially when it comes to Africa, was built to bring stuff inside.
Yep.
Oh, wait, actually, wait, which is it? Bring stuff inside and extract more. So therefore, you creating your brand from here, trying to access global markets, those guys have an easier time than you do. And it's disproportionately insane.
It's this ridiculous. If you bought a lady's handbag, a lady's tote bag from a shop in New York that was in weight, was 500 grams, you would be charged maybe 2,000, 3,000 shillings for it to get to you here in Kenya. However, if you made the very same bag and sent it out to a person in New York, you'd be charged 8,000 shillings. It's as if fuel is more expensive going and the trip is the same, you know? It's really, really unfortunate. These trade barriers are based on the fact that, well, your politicians aren't fighting for you, so we're going to charge you what we feel like charging you because
you don't have gatekeepers.
Yeah, you do. Well, you do have gatekeepers, but they're in our pockets.
Yeah.
You know, so there's all of that. We'd rather take the raw material from you, go make these really luxurious items that you can't afford, and then throw you a penny in the hat, so that we don't have to watch these videos of children with flies in their eyes. I used to live in the UK, and it would get to me.
I feel like it's a big marketing scam
Oh, it
for
is.
Africa. Our PR.
It is.
Yeah.
And also, it's no matter how many videos countries do of come and tour and see our beautiful giraffes, as long as one of those videos appears of please use £1 and you will change the life of a bro, no, just
They need water.
buy my stuff for the value that I buy your stuff. That's all I need. Literally, that is all I need. A fair chance at life. I don't need a handout. And I'm not speaking about myself. I'm speaking about the African, because we've got so much resources. If we were to trade based on equal footing and everybody bring, show and tell, bring what you got, I bring what I got. Bro, Europe can only farm for X amount of time because they have winter.
Yeah.
We farm all the time.
Yes, we do.
People don't know this, but during the Second World War, the soldiers that were stationed in Africa were busy sending food aid back home to the UK.
Wow.
This is not off Google. This is off a soldier who actually told me word for word in a place called Stoke-on-Trent that, I was sending food back home. So we are capable as Africans of doing so much, feeding the world and feeding ourselves. It's just that I don't know. I don't know.
We don't know either.
I wonder if you had a chance to change something based off Vitukwa ground, based what you've seen in your value chain, your own value chain. First, could you tell us about your value chain or your supply chain and how all that works out? And then what would you do if you were given a blank check and you're now the Mkubwa?
Blank checks and capital. Anyway, yes.
I wouldn't. Before I answer the question, one of the things that I wouldn't do is I wouldn't take free money.
There's nothing like free money.
Yeah, there's nothing like free money.
Yeah.
I like to think about how logical is this from a financial investment perspective, and how much impact can it have on the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I look at my supply chain, which is the leather industry, we import a lot of the chemicals that are used within the leather industry from China. When there was COVID, the chemicals stopped.
Yep.
So the leather supply chain had a bit of a hiccup. Obviously, the whole globe suffered that. But the prices remained as the prices were at COVID, as opposed to the prices coming down a bit. There's no, and the government looks at these chemicals the same way it looks at spare parts in the auto industry and chemicals in the auto industry. And so the chemicals are charged huge tariffs. On top of that, to get the raw hides, there was a system. It was built off the backs of the colonialists, not us. It is defunct, but we still use it. So in every abattoir, there's a guy who's inspecting the meat. And in theory, there should be a guy who's inspecting the hide.
The hide.
Yeah.
However, the hide ends up in the hands of Nigerians as opposed to Kenyans who want to go eat the hide.
Eat it.
Yes.
The
Okay,
delicacy.
that's interesting.
It's a delicacy.
Yeah.
And when you speak about that, you're disrupting our supply chain. But you see, they're disrupting our supply chain, because what we need somebody who's actually inspecting the hides, talking to the farmers and telling them, hey, please, can you not whip your cows as much and brand them as much? Because when you brand them this much, then you devalue the hide, because a branded hide can't be used.
Right.
And a hide with very many tick marks can't also be used, so you need the hide to be as clean as possible. So there is that. And then there is one of the biggest challenges is getting accessories, the little brass things and closures and stuff. Kenyan companies used to make those things back in the day. They shut. We now import them from China. Unfortunately, those are some of the elements that we import. And it's really expensive, as opposed to, I wish just Joe Blog could say, all right, it looks like you guys know what you're doing, so I'm going to set this up for you so that you can buy your accessories from me. So there's those three. And then supply chain doesn't end at, okay, now I have manufactured the bag. How do you supply that item, that product to your client?
Yeah.
How does it get into the hands of the client? Again, there's an issue there, because what happens is then the shippers make sure that they're charging you exorbitant prices to ship your commodity out of the country. And then when it gets to the other country, sometimes, like for instance, Italy, Holland, and Netherlands, we just generally don't like shipping there, because as soon as they see that, oh, wow, this is a beautiful, nice leather bag, you have to pay taxes on it.
But you've paid taxes like five times already.
Exactly. So
that affects the bag.
A bag that is worth $100, by the time it gets there, the person has paid $300 for the item. And they're like, oh, what's the point?
Yeah. That affects competitiveness.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
That's disruptive.
It's very disruptive.
I want to understand your market. Is your market ideally more global north versus global south? And I hate using that term, but it is what it is. Do you find that even in your distribution, Africans are still not being able to purchase your product because the costs are passed on to the consumer?
I am going to put it in a very politically incorrect way.
Do it. We love it.
If people say, if the question you're asking is, are more white people buying your bags than black people?
I didn't say it.
No,
I didn't say it.
If that's the question, then I will tell you this. More black people and people of African descent or color are buying our bags. And from inception, that was our desire.
Great.
You see, after traveling the globe, I realized that there are a lot of people like me who, they know the finer things in life, You've experienced these these
fine brands.
Things, yeah. And you say to yourself, but all this raw material is coming from Africa. why don't you just make an African brand that I can wear or carry or be about?
And I'm so tired of that being the story of
And
Africa.
be happy
Yeah.
that, look,
This
not
is
only is this African,
African.
it is so good that you can compete with it.
Yeah.
You know? So there are a lot of people like that. That's why I say the 2% of the black
There's a
market.
market out there.
Because it's there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's there. And it's a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to stop it. When it comes to life, it will come to life. And the cost will not be prohibitive. You can't tell me that if Beyonce sees this bag for $200, she won't buy it. She'll be like, bro, send 10.
Yes.
I want to
immediately.
gift them to my friends. And if she says, I got these 10 and I really love them, that's all she has to say. What happens after that? Everybody thinks, okay, well, she said it, so it must be good. So let's all go out and buy it. And that's all it takes. But it's also, I don't want it to be, I've grown JokaJok very organically.
Yeah.
I've not forced people's arms. I've been like, when there's downtime and you have zero money, figure it out. When there's uptime, save up for the figure it out time. And let it be organic. So I don't go out looking for people to sort of be brand ambassadors and, be the mouthpiece of the brand. If you stumble upon the brand and you go like, wow, I really like that. What is that? That's what I like. Because then that means that item has sparked your interest.
Right.
I didn't sell it. It sold itself. In Swahili, kizuri chajiuza, kibaya chajitembeza.
Yeah.
Sasa kujitembeza ni marketing, au sio?
Yes.
Kabisa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to market it that way.
Yeah.
Nataka kizuri chajiuze.
Yeah. And speaking of marketing, which I found fascinating, because for you, if you look back through your journey, building brands, now building your own brand, I think you'd already done that as well. I think everyone in the industry knows Ted Josiah, the brand, the music producer. But now there's this space you want to, you feel that you're in, and you label it, I'm a creative geek. But that whole thing has been a journey in terms of, if you look back at your life and you connect all those things, you arrive in here and you want to build a brand as well. And more so the fact that I think we look at social media and some of the stuff that you're doing on TikTok as well has been pretty interesting for a business owner.
Yes.
And in terms of how you've decided to use an audience or a community to actually grow your brand.
In this day and age, if you're not using a community to grow your brand, then you must be an idiot.
Yeah.
To put it that way.
Yeah.
Because let's say you opened up a shop in Buruburu Shopping Center in 1980. You were the it person.
Yeah.
If you were selling bags there, then you knew all those houses were going to come and buy your meat or your bag or your whatever it is that you were selling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything was built off of a community. There's a reason why people set up shopping centers in a certain area, not in others. Now, communities came to be on socials. So there's the Instagram community, there's the TikTok community, there's the
Facebook,
X community,
X, yeah.
and they're all like different churches. So you choose your poison. You go on X, you know that people are going to have snide remarks. You go on Facebook and you know that people are going to say it's too expensive. You go on Instagram and everybody's going to say it's beautiful. You go on TikTok and people are just going to say, wow. Wow. Nice. Hi. But when they get inspired to reshare this, they open up other people's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then other markets for you, and the community grows. We've grown organically based on the fact that here was an idiot parent trying to become a mom, which is impossible because you ain't got no titties, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no way milk is gonna come from you. And I think people were empathetic of the fact that, okay, at least this guy's trying to figure something out. Oh yeah, you know. And that community then grew the brand. And as the brand grew off the back of that, then other people started to realize, wait a minute, this is happening in Africa. I want to be a part of this. So it now has then become Pan-African global, and hopefully we will be. Jay has a lot of work, huh? Because she's gonna have to be the person who sees us into mystery.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy my coffee. No, that's pretty cool, and I think that's part of legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm excited for her, and I'm even seeing that trend even with Jay-Z and Beyonce, that we're carrying the children as we go, and then eventually they'll carry you as they go.
Yes.
Either carrying you literally or even in their hearts. But I want to talk about a bit about resilience, because I feel like resilience has been a very big part of your journey. Even when I had listened to a couple of interviews you'd done about the process that you went through, even producing different brands or building brands and producing songs. Let's double click on resilience and just understand how important that is for an entrepreneur. But starting to see that this is very important for even a person, because if you just don't have resilience, then there's nowhere you're going rather. So can we talk a bit about your journey of resilience? How do you see resilience playing out in your journey?
Resilience is a special ingredient in building anything special.
Yeah.
Imagine Noah building an ark.
We talk about Noah all the time.
And there's this crazy man just putting planks of wood
Who's
together.
never seen rain?
Yeah, bro. Imagine the journey of the guy who started Nasset, Gillette Nasset, going into try and become a gold digger, and those guys telling him, no, you're too skinny, you go away. And then seeing these boggies, chippings of the iron being run over by boggies on the rail line. And then all of a sudden thinking to himself, oh, this is sharp. Wow. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, you can shave. And all these idiots who don't want me to go and dig gold over there, they all need to shave. So let me start a shaving thing and patent it and call it the shaver. Did you know that was the story?
I did know that.
How much resilience and stupidity. I mean, I think resilience goes hand in hand with stupidity.
Yeah.
A healthy dose of stupidity, because everybody's going to think that you're foolish when you take a blade and go like this and or say, okay, I can make a needle and put it on a motor, on a machine, and then you can stitch quickly and I'll call it Singer, bro. Or the story of Jack Daniels, or, there's so many stories. And when you look at the brands that have actually made it through life, a lot of them have had to go through resilience. Because remember, again, if we speak about resilience, that moonshine liquor wasn't really legal. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
If you watch those movies, it was called moonshine for a reason, because it was transported at night.
Yes.
And did that not take resilience?
It did.
And now we're all saying, I want to be a brand ambassador for this. Resilience takes a healthy dose of, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just going to trust the process. And no matter how stupid you think I am, I believe something inside me is telling me I'm on the right path. I can't explain to you what it is, but I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just to bring it all together, especially now you're running like a 3-year brand. And one of the things we're talking about is in terms of, and even anyone we've had on this show, in terms of just being an entrepreneur and talking about the resilience she's talking about. Like how you going building your business? Like what structures are you putting together? How is it looking? What are your struggles currently with whether it's systemic within the business itself? Like, does it still rely on you? And what do you see or foresee that has been as well?
If we're to have an honest conversation about that, structures in companies, especially SMEs that are in the manufacturing sector, are very difficult to go and look at somebody else's structure and copy paste.
Yeah.
Because you find that you're manufacturing something that's very different from the other person, and your requirements might overlap, but you might have something very unique
Correct.
that you need.
Yeah.
So, for instance, management within the production system of the creation of the leather bags.
Yeah.
That is one structure that we are putting in place. Marketing, that is another structure we're putting in place. We're very big on online marketing and also closing the sale online.
And by the way, love your site.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The journey is pretty cool.
Yeah.
When you say closing the sale online, I want from the time you make that inquiry to the time you send off your purchase to be the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
Without us having ever interacted, you know?
Yeah.
But you to feel like these guys had such a personal touch. Now, that in itself, who am I going to copy? If I say that to anybody, even when I was setting up the website and I was trying to tell the guy, I need this, that. He was like, bro, some of this stuff, nobody's done. And I'm like, yeah, but can't it be done? Just figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, don't tell me it can't be done, you know? And putting in place structures means a lot of experiments and a lot of failures, and then a lot of somehow you will, in time, it falls into place based on the fact that you've made all the necessary mistakes to a point where okay, now this is the one that works. This is the model that works for me.
Okay. I'm hearing a lot of we're figuring it out. I love that even within yourself, even as you started your music, or even let's talk about sculpting. Let's take it from way back.
Yeah, take it way
your
back.
A-levels when
the
you
best
won.
sculptor around.
Yes.
Yeah, that I had never worked with mud, but I loved the way it felt, and I loved the way it allowed me to control it.
Yes.
And I think we all like to control stuff, like a level of, wow, I can do this. So in my A-levels, I did fine art, and the examination meant that you had to do sculpting, graphics, and still life. Still life for me was a walk in the park. You put for me something there, draw it. It's a no-brainer. Graphics for me was a walk in the park. The thing that was challenging was, how do you make a piece of clay come to life and become something?
Yeah.
And then you had to wrap it around a story. So it wasn't just something, it was something based on a story, and you had to write about it. And I was doing my A-levels during the Tiananmen Square revolution.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was this guy, I'll never forget, who stood in front of a tanker.
Yeah. Tiananmen Square.
Yes.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows what happened to him knows that he became mincemeat. The tanker just ran over him. He gave his life up for China to be what China is today.
Yes.
Without that revolution, we wouldn't have China as a superpower now, when the people took back their power. But then I asked myself, why does it take this human and this human who are brothers? These were both Chinese. Why does it take the two of them fighting for there to be an agreement, or peace? So I created a sculpture that was two very strong black men wrestling, and I won Best Artist for that. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a series of we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it. I'm seeing it in your story. I'm seeing it even how you're running your business. And that just makes me feel like you're a process of evolutions. And it's going to be beautiful to watch you evolve into everything you're meant to be.
I really, truly hope so.
Yes.
Because when I say we're figuring it out, I don't say it figuratively.
Yeah.
I literally mean
Literally,
it.
yeah.
And you've shown
Sometimes
it.
people ask me questions and I don't know the answer, bro.
And you don't need to.
You might know more than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
But through conversations and challenging self and challenging systems, something good comes out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. Even I remember when we were interviewing one day, and one of the things she was talking about was sometimes whether there's systemic challenges, fine. That doesn't mean that we're going to be crippled,
Yeah.
right? We're going to figure it out
Yes.
as we go. I want to take it way back.
Take us, Cliff.
Yeah, way back to you growing up.
Yeah.
What's that life looking like? Are you privileged? I mean, what's going on? Family, education. Like, where did you come from? Like, what were your dreams then?
My mother was a high school girl who was deceived by a boy. And then she found herself in Mobada with a boy,
Okay.
namely me.
Yeah.
And so, no, I didn't come from privilege.
Yeah.
I came from two people who fell madly in love and are still madly in love to this present day.
Oh, cool.
And they had a child pretty young, and then said, okay, let's go through this journey. Because my dad was young, then he decided to go to uni in the US. So he took my mom with him, left me with my grandma. So I grew up in a place called Ojororok near Nyaururu.
Or Jororo.
Yeah, Jororoko.
Jororoko.
So
That's,
Grace. Wow.
Wow.
That's your shot.
yeah, go and ask about the only Luos who live there. You'll be told it's us. My grandfather had moved to Oljororok after independence because he used to work in Rumuruti, and he was given he bought a farm
Okay.
that belonged to a colonialist.
Yeah.
So he bought the farm with the farmhouse and settled there, and that's where I grew up. And so I grew up knowing Kikuyu and Kijaluo and no Kiswahili at all. Later on in life, my folks decided, well, let's bring that rural boy to America.
city.
Chicago.
America.
So I was flown to Chicago, tasted my first
Winter.
Sprite.
Oh, Sprite. Okay.
I was asked if I wanted soda. I remember as a child, I didn't know what soda was, so I was chaperoned by my uncle, and he said, "Do you want the brown one or the clear one?" So I thought the clear one was water. I was like, "Yeah, just give me the clear one," thinking it's water. It was Sprite. I'll never forget that taste. And I grew up in Chi-Town, Chicago, for a while. Came back here. My dad could not find work because being a chiropractor, people were like, no. So he became a biology teacher in Kajiado. And so I lived Umasaini, did part of my schooling in Kajiado. And then when my dad moved to Nairobi and started practicing, then I moved to a school called Isili High School. Isich. Kwa wale wadhi. And it wasn't...
No, it's okay. Carry on. Not at all.
It wasn't a walk in the park. Imagine coming from Chicago, going to Kajiado, to a school that there's no electricity. Let's begin there.
Yeah.
At all. To trying to explain to people why you have a funny accent. So all my life, I've been trying to explain to people why I have a funny accent. I'm in the UK, and people are saying, you don't quite sound African, but you don't sound British.
You speak English really well. That's what they would say. Yeah.
I find that very offensive.
I know. Yeah.
You speak so well.
Yes.
You're well spoken. Please. Why would you even say that? But yeah, my accent is based on all the places that I've lived and experienced, and I think that's also my life. It's just the journey of not being in one place for too long. Yeah, but now I'm settled. I hope. I think.
Who knows?
Who knows?
God.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you.
Karibu sana.
This has been such an insightful episode. It felt like a conversation in a cafe.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you for being so authentic and vulnerable with us.
You're welcome.
I've learned a lot from you, and I will keep figuring things out because you have taught me so much. So thank you, and God bless.
Yeah.
God bless you too.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for having us.
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like we have just begun, because I just feel like there's a lot
There's another one.
that we probably need to do. And we're hoping to have you back at some point.
No problem. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for
But absolutely.
inviting me over.
And
Yes.
thanks for honoring us with your presence as well. And so
All
we
the
look
best
forward.
with this. What you're doing is really, really important. Like I said in the beginning,
Yeah.
it might be just 3 people who listen, but out of those 3,
Three
there
people.
might be a billionaire. And that billionaire will start his story with,
Yeah.
I was listening to this.
Correct.
You know, so
Yeah.
you never know whose life you're touching, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think even just going with your theme is just do it.
Just do
There's nothing
it.
like just start and then
Yeah.
just see where it goes. And
Yeah.
I think that's very beautiful. Right. So that's it from Conversations and Plugs. Follow us on all our social handles at Convos and Plugs on X and Conversations and Plugs on all our other socials. So it's been a treat. Thank you.
Thank you.